Friends, welcome to the seventh episode of Moonshot Conversations. And today, this Moonshot Conversations will set the stage and prime your brain for our next guest next Sunday, which is Raageshwari Loomba. That's next Sunday at the same time, 5 p.m. Raageshwari, myself, and Lina would be on the show. Today, we will discuss the power of staying present and in the moment. And next Sunday, our conversation will be about the power of mindfulness in raising a very happy family. Uh, I have created a post of my key and the biggest takeaways of each session that we have conducted on Moonshot Conversations. It would be interesting if each one of you could also do the same for any one Moonshot that you have watched. We look forward to posting some key ones across Lina's, mine, or the Moonshot Conversations pages. Reminding you that previous shows are available to watch on moonshotconversations.com, and these journals are also available for actively ingraining this in your life plan, which is already available on moonshotconversations.com. You have to do the work to see the magic. Friends, we are always one decision away to changing our lives.
Hi, everyone. So this Moonshot conversation, we're taking a slight detour so that in the next session, all our corroboree can hear from my dear friend of 25 years, singer and author of Building a Happy Family, Raageshwari, who will be joining us from London. After that, we will go back to personal development, self-awareness, and all the key areas that holds for us. So today, the power of now, learning to stay present, because it increases your happiness as well as your opportunities for success.
Fabulous, fabulous. So staying present allows us to increase our happiness as well as opportunities for success. The Power of Now is one book that I have read out a few years ago. So it would be great to revisit this. The Power of Now.
Let's quickly revisit last week's Moonshot conversation. 1, we design the intention. 2, we write the goal. 3, we feel it with emotional intensity. The 4th, the crucial step is to start taking action that brings us traction. And we can only do that in the now. The power is in the now, in the present moment. In order to obtain whatever we envision in the future, we have to do something, anything in the now. In Eckhart Tolle's words, the only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step that you are taking at the moment. That's the step Agnella, Rajesh, and I are taking. That is all there ever is. There is no right moment in the future to get started. The moment is now.
So, Lina, this is common sense. The crucial action is the actual action, the 4th step. And this is the one decision that can completely change your life.
So research says that there's a big part wrong in the existing way we think about goals. And this is because something our education system has actually set up for us, right? That we're always thinking and doing something for the end result. When we're in kindergarten, we're doing it for the end result. When we're in grade 2, we're doing it for the end result, the outcome of the 12th board exam or the 10th board exam. So say you have the outcome as the goal, Agnella, Rajesh.
Okay.
You can either succeed or fail, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So now you have met the outcome. You succeed. You tick it off. How do you feel?
I guess I feel happy.
Okay, yes. You may feel happy, but only for a short period of time. So the important thing is you finish, you tick it off, you get a temporary bump of dopamine, but that feel good actually only lasts a few moments.
Oh, okay. So if I don't succeed, I won't tick it off. I won't feel good at all, actually.
Well, so meeting the outcome will give you that short temporary burst of happiness. But if that's not what you really want, because not meeting the outcome or meeting it badly will be worse. And while the happy burst of success is very short-lived, the sting of failure will stay in your brain for a very long time.
Okay.
Right? Because we have, from an evolutionary perspective, we've spoken about this before, we have a tendency to focus on the bad over the good.
So bad is bad and good is not so good. So what is the solution, Lina?
So we basically go from focusing on the outcomes to the process, right? To the process. Doing it this way, you achieve so much more success and so much more joy. So when we focus on outcomes, the things we normally love doing, they become chores. But when we focus on the process, when we stay only in the present moment, we actually condition ourselves to deriving intrinsic value. That's inner value and inner drive out of what we are doing. So there's a lot of people in the world, like, there's, I don't know if you've seen Breaking Bad. There's Walter White, the
Yes.
guy, Walter
It's
White.
very-
He describes the lessons he learned. He says that the minute he let go from the outcome to the process in his auditions, he saw a tremendous shift in his performance.
Yes.
So he said his biggest mind shift occurred when he decided to go to focus on the process rather than the outcome. This is when he started finding joy and success. And
Absolutely.
it's not just him; it's a lot of successful people who voice
Yes.
this. That then when they've moved away from the outcome to the process, that they have not only have they found more success, but they've also felt more joy. There's Maria Sharapova, the tennis player. What is she? Maria Sharapova.
Sharapova. Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt. All of them have said similar things. That a focus on the outcomes is the worst mistake you can make.
So a process-focused mind is at the mark of anyone who has achieved anything extraordinary. So we think about the process that will get us to our goals, right, Lina?
Yes, we do. But you have to understand this. If I keep ruminating about the previous Moonshot conversation, every Moonshot conversation, you've made a mistake, I've made a mistake.
Yes.
Right? We've always made a mistake. So, but if I keep ruminating, if I keep thinking what I could have done better, but not in a constructive way, right? So we both have a growth mindset. So
Yes.
we'll always revisit and we say, okay, we could do this better, but we won't ruminate over the things we've not done. Okay, right? Because if I do that, I'm going to cause pain, and then if I stay in the future and keep thinking about the next one, I feel anxious. So I'm just going to enjoy what I'm doing with you now. And I do what Nir Ayel taught me in when I'm preparing, when I'm doing the research especially for the interviews I'm conducting for our corroboree, I do what allows me to stay present. He's taught us to time box. So he doesn't say in this time I will finish this. In this time I will focus on this. Right? So then what I do is I time box. I time box from 9 to 11, I'll read and research. I'm not saying how much, I just will focus on reading and research. My phone is put away, everything else is put away, that's all I'm doing. Then I time box some distraction, because after 11 o'clock, I just play 15 minutes of gazing out or playing a game on my phone. Then I go back to another 2 hours of time box activity. And then I keep repeating that, right? I repeat time box, focus, time box, distraction. That's why I'm not always answering your WhatsApp calls immediately, because I'm sometimes in my time box focus, right? So,
that's a good excuse, Lina.
Yeah. And so I keep doing that. And if you just take care of the moments, I promise you, in the now, you take care of the moments, your productivity just soars.
Wow, fantastic. So through your entire day, you focus on the now to do what you're committed to doing.
Yep. It's just when I do it in the present, when I stay in the present, I not only find traction. Remember, we can either be distracted or we're finding traction. So I find traction and I find joy. As Nir Ayel suggests, I don't say I will complete this by this time. I don't say I will have this done, because then I'm focused on the outcome. And if I don't meet it at any point, my brain will feel dejected. I don't want to feel bad. I want to feel good about the work I'm doing. So I just time box, focus, keep all my focus on that productivity, and I just move forward phenomenally well.
Lovely. So friends, as you're watching this show going on, don't forget to comment, ask questions. Lina is going to answer every question, and she's going to comment on every comment that you do. So don't forget to do that, and don't forget to download the journal, which will be available for this show after the show is done. Download the journal and please use it with your entire family. It will make a world of a difference to you and everybody in the family. So Lina, in this way, you are much more productive. When we talk about the power of now, in this way, you are much more productive, happier, and in the now, in the power of the moment. In fact, I have read Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. It shifted the way I see my life. Like everybody else, I too tended to live in the past and in the future. I now more consistently live in the present.
So all great teachers in self-mastery, whether from old age wisdom or new age coaches, they all focus on this essential understanding of the power of the moment. The past cannot be retrieved. The future is a construct in our minds. All that truly exists is this moment. So all our ancient wisdom teaches us, and then like Eckhart Tolle, Dr. Rick Hansen, Dr. Sri Kumar Rao, someone I'm going to be interviewing next week. They all explain this to us in modern scientific day language. Pain is, they explain that pain is nothing more than a self-created inner resistance to things we cannot change, right? And we actually feel more in control when we have control over things, and that's only in this moment. So the fact is, we cannot change the past, we cannot control the future. When we are not present in the now, then we are either in the past or in the future, and neither of these are helpful to us. So in fact, one of our previous episodes, I shared how the research says that the average person spends more than half the time in his head in the past or in the future. So at the end of the research, all the research that they're doing, there's a Harvard psychologist, Matthew Killingsworth, who says a human mind is a wandering mind. And a wandering mind is an unhappy mind.
Oh.
The ability to think about what is not happening is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost. So as far as we know, we're the only animals that can think in the past or the future. But that comes, it's a cognitive achievement, but it comes at an emotional cost.
Wow, fantastic. It comes at an emotional cost. So friends, remember what we explored in our previous Moonshot conversations. You cannot be in a state of fear and growth at the same time. Fear will take priority in your brain. Staying in that now helps you emotionally to self-regulate and therefore make it more likely that you grow. Neither the past nor the future is in our control. So it makes sense to stay in the present, as that is the only bit that is in our total control.
So, Agnella Rajesh, on Thursday, I had an interview with Hector Garcia. He's the author of Ikigai and Ichigo. And by the way, I just came across Ichigo by accident. I was actually interviewing him for Ikigai. So Ichigo it's a Japanese-based concept on the power of now, right?
Okay.
And it basically means that what we are experiencing right now, this moment, Agnella Rajesh, will never happen again.
Absolutely.
And that if we are concerned about the past or the future, we miss this very unique, unrepeatable moment.
Wow, lovely. Lina, Ichigo is an awesome word. Ichigo and Ikigai, both. I was absolutely aware about Ikigai, but I was never aware about Ichigo. So Ichigo teaching us about the power of now, of this moment. If I think about it this way, if I consider the extraordinary nature of every moment, I see that every moment is a once in a lifetime occasion.
So I think I realized this when I was about 10 years of age. I walked out of my back door in Australia, and it was a beautiful sunny day. It was blue skies, flowers in bloom, and my total attention was just on one butterfly that was flitting around. I think that's the first time I became aware of being mindful. I didn't know the word, but I was transfixed in that moment. It's that, as though that moment is all that existed. And it's the first time I think the young me would experience the spiritual, intuitive knowing that I am connected to something larger than myself. I'm connected to the universe. I'm not separate from the universe. You and I are not separate. We're connected in some deep spiritual way. Ever since then, I have become, in the Ichigo language, a hunter of special moments.
Wow.
A hunter of feeling, that extraordinary feeling that I'm part of something larger. What Nikola Tesla and very many other teachers called the source out there in the universe.
So I love the concept of being a hunter of the special moments and the power of living in the now, Lina.
Yep. So when we live in the past, we're either reminiscing, right? Or we're regretting. And in the future, we are planning or we're worrying, right? Ichigo means that what we're experiencing right now will never happen again. It's a very important thing, right? This is something we need to embrace and teach our children in this age of complete distraction and instant gratification. The sense of awe, presence, and bliss are only found in the daily moments. If we stay in the now, in the journal, I've written the power of being 3 is to be 3, not to be get ready to be 25. So my first sip of coffee, my awareness of the warm water on my back as I shower, my gaze of awe as I watch a bud blossom. To just breathe in these moments, to just stay centered in these moments. The more we can remind ourselves to live in the moments of life as they unfold, the greater the state of happiness we will find ourselves in.
So, Lina, the past and the future can be the cause of unhappiness and anxiety. The one thing that all of us have in common is definitely a desire to be happy. Nobody likes being unhappy or worried, yet so many people in this world display all the symptoms. why is that a great number of us, despite truly wanting to be happy and worry-free, are so unhappy, regretful, anxious, and full of worry? Why does lasting happiness and peace seem to be so difficult to attain for so many people? So I think we must all of us need to have those same moments of coffee, butterfly, the shower effect, the first bite of chocolate, hug from our child. So what goes wrong, Lina?
So, in Buddhist terms, when they're teaching it to children, they call it monkey brain, monkey chatter, right?
Okay.
So we think about 60,000 thoughts each day. About 80% of these thoughts are negative thoughts. And about 95% of the thoughts we think today are almost the same as the thoughts we had yesterday and the day before and the day before that. So this means if we do not change our habitual way of thinking, we will be drenched in about 45,000 negative thoughts each and every day.
Wow.
Right? So another aspect of self-created pain is what Eckhart Tolle terms the pain body. The pain body is composed of our painful experiences, right? And it grows and strengthens when we experience pain. So this pain can become such a huge part of us that we start identifying with it. Our ego identifies with it, it becomes part of us. And then we are afraid to let it go because it's become part of our identity. We all know people who seem addicted to pain, to depression. It's because they're addicted to the pain and then they repeat those painful patterns again and again and again because it's become part of their identity. We all know people who self-sabotage because when this identity becomes our ego, right? And then when we allow our ego to get involved, we automatically overreact. And when something like this happens, like an argument, then when it happens to me, I'll start looking for, is it my ego? And am I overreacting? So am I overreacting or am I responding? When you react, your ego's involved. When you respond, your ego's not involved. So I'll give you an example. I sold my company, right? Which we all know now. So then my entire team was called by the head honcho CEO. And because I was identifying with that persona as being me, they're my people, my team, my brand, my company, I just went into an intense form of overreaction. I was like ranting and raving. It wasn't me. And then that's when my amygdala got hijacked, right? When that fear response
response, yes.
Yeah. So that was actively me wanting to be unhappy. Actively me intentionally self-destructing. I allowed my ego to gain control over my behavior and my thinking, right? So if your ego wants to be the most important part of you. So in relationships, what I ask myself when I want to tell my partner to do something or be something, I ask, is it out of love or is it out of control? In the same way, when we're about to dispute something, we can ask ourselves, is this me or is this my ego? The minute you ask yourself that question, you observe the mind and you become present. So remember, it's not in our ego's interest to be in the present. So we have to, as Dr. Rick Hanson calls it, train the mind to train the brain, to train the mind to overcome our negativity bias. Remember that when we remember and we bring to our minds negative experiences more than positive ones, we're wiring ourselves for unhappiness. Dr. Hanson explains it as we have a Velcro for painful, harmful experiences and a Teflon for enjoyable, useful ones.
Wow. So that's a lovely metaphor, Lina. Velcro for painful, harmful experiences means that every negative one sticks and the enjoyable ones don't stick at all. Wow. That's a lovely way to explain how it works. So remember, to train the mind, to train the brain to overcome our negativity bias is critically important, right, Lina?
Absolutely. So he explained to me in my video interview that the steps to train your mind, to train your brain, to weave good experiences into the fabric of our brain. So the next time you see, hear, feel, or experience anything that brings you into a positive state, you have to actually enrich the experience by feeling it with intensity for as long as you can.
Okay.
So if I'm sitting out here and the sun's, I can see the sun and the sea in front of me, I hold on to that as much as I can. Whenever you can have this opportunity to feel any amount of lovingness, fullness, wholeness, nowness, allness, timelessness. Sushma Prabhu Gaikwad has just posted something. I'm feeling that with an enormous amount of gratitude and intensity. So when I feel that, I have got an opportunity to weave that into my nervous system, and but by doing this, we'll start training our brains for a positivity bias. So I actually have a reminder on my screen saver on all my devices, and it's from a Kurt Vonnegut's book. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's written a book saying that if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. As long as you do this as often you can, you will reset your default setting for happiness.
Oh, so what is default setting for happiness, Lina?
So most psychology research shows us that we have a set point for happiness, and we've all got different set points. So some of us find it easier to be happy, and some of us find it more difficult to be happy. So a default setting is a set point, right? So yours could be here, mine could be here, or vice versa.
Okay.
And say, for instance, tomorrow you win the lottery, right? So you kind of have a jump in your default setting.
Yes. Okay.
And if you have a catastrophic event, you'll have a dive in your set point for happiness. But it comes back to the set point very quickly. So it's amazing that people who win the lottery have a very short-term high. People who feel a catastrophic event have a very short-term low, because they'll come back to what is known as hedonic adaptation. So after the initial high or low, after an experience or an event, we come back to our set point or default level of happiness. But we can fool it, because if we keep marinating our thoughts when we're experiencing something nice, like we really let it soak in, we can gradually increase our set point and we can train ourselves to be happier.
Oh, so we think more about the past and the future rather than the present moment. This comes back to us having a non-stop storyteller in our heads, which goes on and on and on. So while we should learn from the past, we should not ruminate or rehash mistakes, right?
Yes. So even when you're asking yourself, what will my next thought be? It brings you into the present. Just that awareness of that. So the past we think about is often negative, and we can attribute it mostly to unhappiness, anger, guilt, hate, to us rehashing our past stories. And that's the power of forgiveness, which we'll do in another Moonshot. Interestingly enough, most people who harbor feelings of anger, resentment, regret, and unhappiness are not actually experiencing any negative event or situation in this now moment, right?
Okay.
Their present life is fairly problem-free. However, their minds are conjuring up stories and replaying, the past, and that is a source of, the unpleasant feelings. So if in my head I keep reliving 2006, or my brain will not differentiate between the real experience or the relived mental experience. So I'm actually suffering twice. I suffered in 2006, and I'm suffering again now. Every time I think about it. So if I relive it 100 times, I'm suffering 100 times.
Wow. So isn't the future worth thinking about? We would need to think about the future to motivate ourselves to act in a productive way and to safeguard ourselves from harm, Lina.
So thinking about the future in a way that serves us is beneficial, and we've gone into detail in the journal. So look at this time. If I know I'm going to step out, I'm going to take precautions by planning to wear a mask, all right? Or I'm going to think about ways in which I can best protect myself, and that's beneficial. But as long as you draw the line there. So Eckhart Tolle puts it as, if you find yourself stuck in the mud, the idea is not to say I'm enjoying being in this mud and let me just kind of be in it. You begin to take the steps to free yourself from the mud without panicking, because you're not wasting your inner resources on thinking about what could happen if you're not able to free yourself from the mud. So unfortunately, many people don't know where to draw this line. And then they're constantly anxious and fearful, and all, they're not solving a problem step by step in the moment. They're trying to solve it in the future, and they're imagining the worst possible scenarios and dwelling on them constantly. So this causes anxiety, stress, in their lives. Constant worry, fear, and anxiety do not help prevent a future event from happening if it's going to happen anyway, right?
Absolutely. So constant worry, fear, and anxiety do not help prevent a future event anyways from happening. It does happen.
Yes. And not all pain is avoidable, as we spoke about when we spoke about resilience. If someone we love dies, they die. We have to accept it for what it is without wishing it was different, because it's not going to be different, even if we wish it. Once we accept it for something that simply is and cannot be changed, right? We feel the pain, but we avoid the needless suffering. So we can only do our best in the present moment and accept the consequences. Worry and anxiety raises our cortisol, our adrenaline level, and increases our blood pressure. They are futile because they only cause us mental stress and do not affect the future in any way as it is. So only action in the present moment can do that. Mark Twain said this, and I love it. I have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. So the hallmark.
That's very nice. Yeah.
So the hallmark of depression and anxiety is ruminating, about the past or about the future, worrying about something that hasn't happened yet and might not happen at all. Worry about its very nature means thinking about the future. And if you hoist
Yes.
yourself into awareness of the present moment, worrying disappears.
Wow, that's awesome, Lina. I'm sure the audience is enjoying this conversation, and I request the audience to keep commenting and keep asking questions. You'll be answered. Every question will be answered, and don't forget to download the journal after the session is over. So, Lina, worrying and being anxious about any of the above examples that you shared do not actually enrich your life. They only affect your quality of life in a negative way. Our minds love wandering into the future and making up negative stories that may or may not occur, but that's how our minds are tuned up to. So in most cases, we can do nothing about the future, and then when we can, it involves taking action in the current moment. Constant worry and anxiety can definitely make us go crazy. What's your take on that, Lina?
So the solution to unhappiness and anxiety is very simple. Be in the present moment. This is often referred to as mindfulness, consciousness, and awareness, right? This entails focusing our minds on the present moment instead of in the past or in the future. Being present in the current moment is magical and liberating. Think about this, Agnella Rajesh. What pressing problems do you have in the present moment?
Well, Lina, none at this specific present moment, nothing.
Well, that's not just for you. Most people's present moments are like that. I'm not suggesting that everyone's life is perfect or idyllic, but if everyone's completely honest with themselves, most people would admit that their current situation in this moment is relatively problem-free. Even at the time of the pandemic, most of us have shelter and food, right? And most people's lives are not in danger this very moment. So they have choices available when it comes to what actions they want to take in the current moment to protect themselves. And even when we plan for the future and set goals, and this is necessary sometimes, but we do it in the current moment.
Okay, so given the fast pace and hectic schedules most of us keep, Lina, I can see that a base level of anxiety, stress, and unhappiness is the new norm. We are all living with it. We may not even realize it, but this tendency to get sucked into the past and the future can leave us perpetually anxious. So what are some of the tools and techniques we can practice to stay in the now, in the present moment?
So living in the now is so difficult because we actually societally encouraged to think about the future and schooling and everything, and we're constant or we're dwelling on our past. So advertisements, reminders, notifications, messages, and alerts are all often so geared towards either the past or the future. Some of the things we can do and think about is, if we want to think about the past in small doses, but make sure you're focusing on the past for a reason, like either you're reliving a pleasant memory, or you're identifying where something went wrong in order to fix it in the now, or you want to figure out, the key to a past success. So we've succeeded in the past. What do we do? How do we redo it? Think about the future also in small doses. So make sure you're focusing on the future in a healthy, low anxiety kind of way. And don't spend time worrying about the future. Think about the future just long enough to prepare for it, and then move on back to the present. Stay in the present moment for the vast majority of your time. And researchers suggest that, that it is mind wandering that is generally the cause, not the consequence of unhappiness.
Oh, so mind wandering actually causes our unhappiness. It is not that we wander off in our mind because we are unhappy.
Absolutely. So most psychologists, their therapy will recommend living in the moment, to next moment, and that's the only cure for anxiety. The Harvard researcher I spoke about, Killingsworth, earlier, he says you can predict how happy people are based on how much time they allow their mind to wander in the past or the future. So the more people live in the past or the future, the unhappier they are. Today, the research and modern day therapists and coaches are simply finding out what ancient traditions kind of knew, that a wandering mind is an unhappy mind.
So once again, we are seeing modern research and ancient wisdom and traditions closing the gap, Lina?
Absolutely. So there's an author, Mirko Thumb, and he's a personal development coach. And what he says is, the present moment is all there truly is. The present moment is the only thing where there is no time. It's the point between the past and the future. It is always there, and it's the only point we can access in time. Everything that happens in the present moment. Everything that ever happened and will ever happen can only happen in the present moment. It's impossible for anything to exist outside of it. So we should try and stay present and in the moment as much as we can. And that's actually all that we can do. Even when people, at times I catch myself in a conversation thinking about how will I respond to them rather than am I really present and am I tuning in to the person I'm having a conversation with. So the moment I become aware of that, when I'm doing my interviews, I generally bring myself back in the present moment to actually being present, ichigo, with them.
Oh, wow. So I can see the importance of really, truly being present, as that would build trust and strengthen the bond between the two people having a conversation. It could easily shift the change from a transactional one to a transformational one. So if
Absolutely.
both are truly present and listening deeply, let us through this week practice active present listening and staying in the moment when we are aware that we have drifted in the past or the future.
Absolutely. So let's this week try a few exercises to keep us present. They're all in your journal. Through the day, when you feel a sense of anxiety about anything in the future, practice some mindful breaths. And there's a Buddhist monk who taught me how to breathe, and it's the first time I learned it. And honestly, if I'm going to come on to this or anything that makes me feel even slightly anxious, I practice it. So it's a great exercise to do with your kids. Put your hand on your stomach, Agnella Rajesh. Put your hand on
Yes.
your stomach. When you
Yes.
breathe in, your stomach comes out. And when you breathe out, your stomach goes in.
Yes.
So a Buddhist monk has taught me this when I was 15, and I've been using it ever since.
Wow, I've been using this for the last couple of months, and it's absolutely stress-free exercise. It loosens up your mind and freshens up your thoughts. So thank you, Lina, for that. And I'm sure the audience will also enjoy doing this on a regular basis. Many must be doing it, but it's good to be mindful about it. So, Lina, when we focus our attention on our breath, we have no choice but to be in the present. That is what this exercise means, right, Lina?
Yes. Focus on the breath, practice savoring. Remember, we're marinating our brains in good experiences. Use your
Yes.
senses to engage with the world and marinate the experience with your coffee, your warm shower, the water, sip of cool water you take when you're thirsty. Deeply feel these moments and hold them intensely for as long as you can. One of the things that has really helped me, when as I was stepping down from my role with the schools, initially I felt anxiety. And then a colleague reminded me. She reminded me of the very thing I would say. Sometimes the teacher needs a teacher, right? And she
Right.
says, never suppress what you are feeling, move towards it rather than denying or running away from it or trying to distract yourself from feeling it. And the
Okay.
minute I did that, it really worked. I just was able to accept and release.
Wow. So focus on the breath and savoring pleasant experiences and moments is the strong message, Lina.
Yes, and another great mindful practice is to journal, not writing with a purpose, but just a stream of consciousness writing. It takes the chatter out of your head and onto the paper. So whatever you're thinking, just like regurgitate it onto the paper. A great exercise to help your children start mindful journaling and to help them think divergently and creatively is to sit them down, and we put these exercises in your journal, piece of paper and pen, and then give them anchor words, right? Like if you say, what comes to mind when you say blue, water, sky, shirt, whatever it is, happy, story. One more thing that you can do with your kids is morning visualization exercises. So you do a 5-minute meditation where you actually visualize your day. I do this, I have a meditation app called Insight Timer, and I do
Okay.
the morning visualization exercise in the morning. At the end of every day, note 3 things without fail, wait, before you go to sleep, 3 things that made you smile, laugh, cause you joy. And look at the journal, it'll help you with more details.
Fantastic. So mindful breathing, savoring experiences, journaling, morning visualization, meditation, fantastic. We'll all make this as a part of our life. I will practice this week, and I'm going to be more mindful as I sip my coffee, hear a parrot, which is rare these times, but I do get a chance to listen to that outside my complex. Listen to music is something that I've started loving doing it, and I'm definitely going to marinate those experiences with absolute mindfulness, Lina.
A great idea. Even when you go to your villas, you can. So I saw the green outside your villas. Mindfully add pleasurable experiences through your day. And as you experience them, do this with intensity and gratitude. And remind yourself as often as possible, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. Say it with me. If this isn't nice, I don't know what is.
If this isn't nice, I don't know what is. It's a powerful statement, Lina.
Yes. Research has consistently shown us that mindfulness is an important predictor to well-being. It'll increase the level of your self-satisfaction, positive effect, less negative effect, and a greater sense of competence and autonomy. One more tip: be mindful of allowing the experience to be experienced and savored rather than trying to capture it. So when I see these kids with their camera phones, I want to kind of throw the research in their faces. Because when you try to capture a moment with your camera, it actually prevents you from remembering the very events you're trying to capture, right? So trying to use media to preserve moments prevents you from fully experiencing it in the first place. So what you can use your distracting technology for is for mindfulness. There are enough apps to bring you to the present moment. There's an app called Remindful that alerts you, at customized intervals through the day, gently prompts you to come back to the present moment and helps you guiding you to be more mindful. There's an app called Smiling Mind for children of all ages to start them on their journey to mindfulness.
Fantastic. So less trying to capture moments and more of experiencing them is critically more important, is what I got from this conversation. I'm also going to be more mindful when I'm with my children, listening carefully and engaging absolutely mindfully, Leena.
So, Agnella, Rajesh, when you experience something awesome with your kids,
yes,
either say, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is, or tell them that this is a moment I want to remember forever.
Wow.
And tell it to them. Make a note, make a note of making a note of it in your journal at the end of the day. Being mindful and present takes practice, but it is really, really worth it. Put aside at least half an hour of your day away from your phone, not even in your sight or your reach. That time use with your children present tense language. As you go about your day, and explain it to them. Like, I am now reaching for the frying pan. I am now putting bread in the toaster. Because when you're doing this, you're going to train yourself to be present, and you're acknowledging that to your brain, and your kids are hearing it, which means you're training them. And even if you find yourself wandering, you can say, you can tell your kids, hey, my mind wandered to what I need to do on the business report while I'm making your breakfast. All of this will not only make you more mindful, but when it'll make your kids more mindful. And when you're about to be mindful, say that to your children as well. I am taking a mindful breath and bringing myself in the moment. I'm putting my phone away, so I'm fully present with you.
Fantastic. So, Leena, Eckhart Tolle says, in the power of now, unease, anxiety, or tension, or a topic like stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not presence. This is what he always talks in that book, which I loved. Whereas guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non-forgiveness are caused too much by the past and not enough presence. So the absence of presence in both the situations is very disturbing for the past as well as for the future. So let us this week, friends, all practice to be present as much as we can in as many moments as we can until we meet same time, same place, same faces, and one new one. The Mindfulness and Building a Happy Family book written by Raageshwari Loomba is going to be the new face on next Sunday with me and Leena Asher at the same time, 5 p.m. on Facebook Live.
Yes, see you next week, everyone. Through the week, tune in as much as you can. When you feel distraction, disintegration, or fragmentation, if you find yourself in the past or the future, be very kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Just take a few breaths, become present, and experience stillness and calm. With practice, you will start catching your mind when it is monkey chattering in the past or the future, and you learn to become increasingly present. As you do this, I promise you will begin experiencing the blissful state of being one with everything, one with the universe.
Fabulous, fabulous. So I look forward to Raageshwari next Sunday as she explores the power of mindfulness in greater depth, and which will ultimately lead to happiness in the family. Have a lovely evening, friends, and see you all next Sunday at 5 p.m. sharp with me, Leena Asher, and Raageshwari Loomba. Thank you so much.
See you next Sunday.